in to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucius, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde, and the governor. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience. Yes, sir. We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Hello, back to Four Tiles. And we are missing somebody again, but that's okay too, because it is the world. Welcome back to Athletics LLC. Fun episode. We've got our, what did you call them, Clyde? Elder statesmen? Something like that?
Wow. No. I called them
Throw you under the bus.
I called them the backup dancers.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Not that that's any better. But anyhow,
Wow.
another fun episode. The governor is out hustling us right now and is recruiting. So I don't know how I feel about that as I say that out loud. He's probably down the street from the house right now. But anyhow, what time zone is it? How are you?
I'm good.
Disease cutting me.
Well, you know, that's it's newfangled technology on my part. Just go with it. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here, so you know I get a little leeway.
Where are you, so people know?
I am in the Bordeaux region of France, in a tiny little, quaint little town called Talence, trying to secure the final bag of the year.
Cool. Clyde, how are you today, sir?
I'm in sunny San Jose, California. Just trying to get through the fall.
Golly. But doesn't it feel like September is going kind of fast, but it's still September?
September is moving as slow as humanly possible out
I
here.
was like, what are you talking about? September seems like it's already been 2 months.
I don't know. September 20th is here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's still September.
Maybe in that, first world that y'all live in, it's fast. It's slow out here. Slow.
Oh man, Sir Lucius, how are you today, sir?
I'm wonderful.
How's the air up there, as they like to tell us?
Oh, wow.
Tell us. He just called me first world too. I don't know why.
Well, see, I'm not sure what's wrong with Clyde. Last week I heard I was a backup singer. Now this week I got first world issues. See, I don't know any first world people that are backup singers. So we got to get this. It's either one or the other now.
Right.
It's one or the other. But I'm well. I'm well. Still recovering from my jaunt to Eugene and beyond, but I'm good. I'm good.
Nice. Very, very nice. Well, speaking of good old fun Eugene, let's talk about the Diamond League final. So, you silly guys, let the misfits speak about the preview. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you all have watched the episode. We actually had like pretty good exchanges and conversation. Now, there weren't a lot of comments on the episode, so that means we weren't out of pocket and we weren't far off. But the exchanges were good. But what stood out amongst the final for everyone?
You start with world records, don't you?
Well, for me, this is what stood out for me. There was a range of. There were people that were on a mission. There were people that were like, let me get my season over with. And then there were the people that were like, I came here to make a clear statement, the world records, obviously, the national records. What I found interesting was just being back in the warm-up area after being at Worlds and being at other Diamond League meetings this year. The intensity and electricity was nothing like it was before. It just wasn't that like. And this is a bad way to put this. I think some people are just there, as the young folks would say, grabbing bags, right? You get a parents fee to come here, and this is what I get. So I think that a lot of that was going on. There just wasn't a lot of emotion, and
juice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And for that dynamic to exist in various events, for the level of spectacular performances that we actually saw, it's kind of wild, right? For me, the thing that most stood out, it's not any one individual performance, because almost every event was just phenomenal. It's the narratives that instantly get created based on whatever perspective people want to have. Like in real time, even in the stadium, I'm watching two different races with basically the same result, yet the narratives that people want to create are total opposite and in hypocritical stance with each other. So I say that to say that the event itself was brilliant. The performances were out of this world. And it's like anything, it created conversations amongst those of us who care about the sport. So it was, great for the sport. First time the Diamond League Finals been on American soil. And, as a person who took the time to go up there and spend money as a spectator, I had a ball. Start to finish, both days. It was just, it's fast paced. It's one event after the other. Obviously there's no prelims, and it's just it was the perfect dessert to what I believe was a great track and field season.
Yes, I think that when you talk about the narratives, I think the classic mistake people make is that you're going to label somebody the favorite for the Olympics or the next World Championships because of something that happened in this race, or you're going to put down upon somebody because they didn't run as well here. The emotional levels, I'll take the men's 100, right? Noah was there and was very confident at 985. But it was clear if you're watching them, that meant a lot more to Christian than it did to Noah, right? The other thing is that, folks, rounds change things, right? So one-off races do not determine championships. The ability to run rounds and from a mental and physical standpoint do. So I think that's where I would, these narratives that are out there about, whether it be the men's 100 or the women's 100 or the men's 400 hurdles or heck, even the women's 800. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to not think that a thing can win it next year. But just because she won this one doesn't mean that Hodgkins, who was right there with her, doesn't have the ability to beat her next year when there's other factors involved.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to grab the stick and run with it. What I thought was interesting about a lot of the performances is exactly what you guys are talking about with the narratives. I think that the World Athletics grouping got everything they could ever ask for from the Diamond League final, because we already can see the storylines being written that are going to be like pushed upon us on television next year, right? They're going to reference things that happened in this meet a lot next year. Parchment beating Grant and Rye beating Warholm and blah, my favorite one is Kovacs beating Krauser. Look, at the end of the day, I think all of it was spectacular viewership, which is, in all honesty, what it was supposed to be. I was left with a couple things that I think will be conversation worthy. I think it's very, very obvious that we as a country do better in one-off and two-day meets than we do with world championships.
What do you mean by we as a country?
I think the Diamond League.
You talking about the fans or the athletes?
No. I'm only talking about fans and productivity. I'm not talking about the athletes are going to do what they do. But I think the Diamond League final was shown better, even with, a couple, you had to go from here to here, than World Championships was in a lot of ways. I I think it's definitely a more palatable ticket for the U.S. fans. Like, you know, like I'm gonna go to see a bunch of hot one-off races. I don't have to go and like really be a fan and watch rounds. And I think it's, if you look at it, World Championships being in Eugene didn't go as well as the Diamond League Final did in Eugene as a whole. Like comparing.
Really? I don't know about I was with you till that.
Okay. Well, let's look at it this way. I think
Lucy, you got some explaining to do, dog.
I think the World Championship experience overall in Budapest was better than the World Championship experience was in Eugene. But I don't think anybody could ever argue. If they decided to make the Diamond League Final in Eugene every year, I don't think anybody would argue with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't go. Okay. I was having a similar conversation to this a few hours ago. I think a huge mistake that everybody makes is trying to compare an American experience and an American setup to what the rest of the world does in this sport. It would be like going to an elite soccer match at MLS. Whatever. Messi's here now, right? Whatever that experience is down there in Miami now, compared to an elite soccer match in Europe where they actually give a shit. So a lot of people have been doing that before Worlds in Eugene and since Worlds in Eugene. I've been to 4. London is still the best one I've experienced because it's London. And those people are our best fan base, full stop, end of story. Budapest was phenomenal. I had a better experience, me, in Budapest than I did in Eugene, but I'm an American. So everything in Eugene was familiar for me. I was literally seeing things I've never seen before every single day in Budapest, right? But I thought the World Championships in Eugene were phenomenally done. Like, it was the best possible thing that America could have ever produced in this place.
I don't disagree with you, and that was kind of my point.
But I don't get the comparison. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be better. Tokyo will be better too.
Because I'm an American who represents another country, I see these things from a different perspective and through different lenses. And I have conversations that a lot of other people don't. I think Sir Lucius probably has some of these conversations. And I think the global perspective was that the championships were better as a whole, like the full-on experience in Budapest and in other countries than in the US for exactly what you said, right? Like, I think we are better at one-offs and 2-day and 2-day and 3-day type meets. I don't think.
What do you mean by
this,
we, sir?
This country.
I need you to be a Cal grad and explain yourself well.
I think he's saying
we have
no.
Okay. We have an instant gratification fan base. We don't have we love track. We love the nuances of all of the idiosyncratic things that happen in the prelims.
So you're talking about the American society as a whole.
Yes. I'm literally not talking about anybody.
So now let's push the pause button for a second. Okay, so
that I agree with.
But the American society as a whole wasn't Eugene last year. Eugene was the Eugene fan base and a little bit added to it, and the rest of it was the world, right?
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, that, okay, from a cultural standpoint of really cool things to see, oh, Budapest is a winner, right? One of the most phenomenal cities I've ever been in my life, right? But from the other side of it, like, the track meets the track meet, okay? The Eugene World Championships was a phenomenal track.
No, for sure. Like, the product, that's why I said the athletes are always going to be
London. Yes. I mean, like, it's just, it's out of control. So, but from where you're standing, Like, I don't care where you put the meet in America, it's never going to be about the American fan base. It's going to be about the world that comes to see it. Right.
So here's something that I know all of you will get, and I hope the people that watch this show either understand because they've seen this, or I will articulate it well. From a coach, athlete, fan perspective, Eugene is so only, like, purely unique to anywhere else. Here's some examples, both at the World Championships and at the Diamond League final. As a fan, you know what's never going to happen in Budapest or London or Tokyo? Right after I get finished watching a phenomenal discus competition, I'm never going to find myself sitting next to Daniel Stahl, just because he felt like coming up in the stands and hanging out. It's never going to happen. In Budapest, the warm-up track was so far away, you had to cross a bridge and take shuttles that may or may not crash into each other. But in Eugene, anybody that paid for a ticket can literally leave their seat and watch Sha'Carri Richardson warm up if you care to. These are unique Eugene-specific kinks that you don't have anywhere else. So to me, one of the brilliant pieces of the cathedral and the new setup and Eugene itself is how intimate it is with the fans. After the race, you might see Grant Holloway just walking on the mezzanine. That don't happen anywhere else. And so,
Right.
you know, it's like, those are the things that are purely American and purely Eugene and very, very unique to what we have here. And ultimately what makes it special. And again, London's better for me. Budapest was better for me. But those little things, I miss those things, and you don't see those things anywhere else but Eugene. So, you know, I think it's dope, and obviously it remains the best thing that we have. And it's special in those ways.
That's why we have conversation. I like it.
Yeah.
Now,
Man,
are we
the meet as a whole was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, are we fawning over these actual performances?
I mean, how
Well,
can
I
you
think
not?
there's some of them you have to fawn over. There's some of them that I don't think there's a big deal. I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, they're all. I mean, anybody that wins this competition is a big deal, right? You have to honor the accomplishment. But then I think there's some other things, I had a conversation with someone about the Rye Benjamin Warholm thing today, and at the end of the day, Rye beat him. But what's the significance of it? It's the first time he's beat him, right? But
Right.
the insignificance of it is, like, do you think will that time win the Olympics next year after rounds? That's what you have to ask yourself. It may or may not.
So we've gotten into that particular race and this particular matchup a few times, and I think it's some of our best moments. I will say, and I have always said, Rye Benjamin's my favorite male athlete in the sport. In the building, watching what he did, the way he did it, I had literally, and I texted you guys this, I had never felt more satisfied watching a thing, right? And I was like, I was ready to come on here and declare, like Sydney did with Delilah, that it is now the Rye era. He will take the world record. He will not lose to Warholm again. I was ready to do that.
I'm glad you didn't do that. I'm really proud.
But here's the thing.
And you saw the interview.
Then I saw the interview. And if you see the interview, I've never felt more deflated by an interview. Because let me be clear, Rye is like super smart, and I think his voice needs more attention in the sport. Like, he's talking, the interview's really long. He's talking about a lot of important things like the prize money and the purses and all that stuff, right? But then when he gets into the nuance of his race and you realize that what he did on accident, and he didn't even know what was actually happening, and he deviated from the plan, which was to go back to the old model that he'd been losing with. I was like, damn it, man. Damn it. I can't even be excited about it, nor was
See,
he.
but here's the thing.
And that's, right? Yeah.
So this is what part of my conversation was today, right? We do realize that this model that you were excited about was 0.2 of a second slower than the model he was trying to do.
In what? Wait, 0.2 of a second slower. Because I know where you're. I know what you're saying.
No. Hold a second. He ran 46.17, taking 13 the whole way.
Correct.
He ran 46.30 something. Okay, hold a second. Just said so. This is my conversation, not just with you, with other people, right? So if I'm going to be petty, okay, and I know what, let me be petty because you said this.
We like petty
mouths. Warholm is losing is irrelevant unless you break the world record. Those are your words. If you didn't break the world record, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. So then, therefore, based on your narrative, that race is irrelevant because he beat him, but he didn't break the world record. He didn't even PR to do it.
It's close to what I said. You almost quoted me.
Actually. No, that's
it was like 85% accurate.
No, that's exactly what you said.
That's exactly what I said.
It's irrelevant if he didn't break the world record
with the 47.
Exactly. So exactly. So my thing is this, but you didn't ask. You said if he didn't break the world record, it's irrelevant, right? So let me continue with my thing here. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm proud of Ryan, and I'm happy that he finally beat Warholm. And I think if you watch the race closely, and I've said this to you before, I am of the belief that if he takes 13 the whole way, he runs even faster. Because in order to take 12, he bounds and it slows him down. Okay, see, I'm not obsessed with the fact that he takes 12. I watch what it does to him, right? So what I'm saying to you and everybody else is he still run faster taking 13 the whole way. And for me, what they're trying to do, right, is do what play to his strengths, right? And playing to his strengths and getting him better at what he does will lead him to beating Warholm, not him trying to do what Warholm does or trying to recreate himself. Because again, taking 12 steps, he still ain't ran 46.1.
Well, sir, you know what? You know that I don't agree with you on this, and you can't convince me otherwise. But
I'm not. Hey, here's the deal. I ain't trying to convince you.
No.
You can't convince me.
Let me tell you. You in theory could have convinced me until that very end, where you literally said the opposite of what is happening. Because again, what Warholm...
The opposite. Hold on a second. The opposite of what, sir?
I'm explaining to you.
Okay.
You said.
Let me take some notes here.
You said that they're trying to adjust to what he does well and not trying to do what Warholm does. Warholm's model that he broke the world record with is 13 for 10. It's on film. Rye has been trying to run that model the majority of his professional career. It got him the NCAA record, and it has his PR at 46.1. All of that is true. But the fact remains that he never beat Warholm until he did exactly what we have been talking about for 3 years now. Longer than that.
But according to your words, it's irrelevant.
Sir, again, you're not going to take my conversation about Kyron McMaster.
I'm not. Okay, hold on a second. You did. Okay, first of all, let me be clear on something. I'm not going to let you do this to me. Because when I now, hold on a second now. When I said down goes Warholm, you didn't know who beat him, and you didn't know what the time was. And all you said was, if they didn't break the world record, it's irrelevant. It wasn't about McMaster. It was about him getting beat and the record not being broken.
Awesome.
Okay, so here's what I tell you. This is what I'll tell you. Okay, so I want you to just like hone in on this one clearly, right?
I got you. I'm ready to hone. Let me know when I get to hone.
No. You've done a good job of honing, but you're honing on the wrong stuff, right? Okay, because again, so this is what I want you to focus on. And you can take this anywhere you want. He is yet to run as fast, trying to take 12 in the middle of the race, that he has taking 13 the whole way. And why that's funny to you, I don't know.
I'm going to tell you exactly why it's funny to me. Because in his entire professional career, he's done that race, 12s, twice. There's been 2 times that he's done it in a race. One, was in the damn final of the World Championships.
3 times.
And this one, the slightly tweaked version, the version that actually makes numbers sense, is the one
to
that,
you.
It's not just me. It's not just me.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be labeled an asshole and petty for saying it. You and the other people out there saying this, which one of y'all's coached the guy that's run faster than 40?
Yeah, no, that's cute.
Hold on a second. No, it ain't cute.
That's fine.
Fact. No, it's fact. Because so
fine.
you and the rest of the guys out there trying to tell this man is the second fastest man in the history of the sport.
Well, sir, you've never coached somebody to run 46.1 either.
But you're right. But I've coached somebody that's run 47 too. It's a lot faster than the 50-point guy that you guys have coached. But the bottom line is this. Okay, see, I happen to know a little about the damn event, a lot about the event. So if we're gonna go there, no, y'all don't. Y'all don't.
Well, there's a lot of
there are a
lot of matchups from this meet that we really need to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. Get lost on this one, which I like.
No, I didn't get lost. Look, all I said was that this all started because
I listen, and then I could hone, and I'm not being allowed to hone. So that's fine. We can move on to something else. But
if we're gonna have a debate, that's fine. But what I don't want to sit here and do is argue about something that we could do off camera. Like, that's fun. That is fun. But what I don't want to look. I don't want to hear from Big League next week how we got all these comments about we covered the whole. We call ourselves covering the whole Diamond League final, and we talked about Ryan Warren.
Okay, well, can I finish my sentence at least?
Yes.
Because I was accused of, we were talking, the accusation.
Finish your sentence. We don't need all the rigmarole.
Right. Is Warholm's the world champion? The only thing that's relevant about Rye beating him is not that he even beat him. Is it the way he beat him? There's a lesson to be learned there if he chooses to learn it. That's what's relevant about that race.
Well, so I'm going to say this, and then we can
the relevancy of the whole thing is this, right? It's a one-off competition, and he that's not his best race. And if Warholm, this summarizes the whole thing for me, right? If Warholm is Warholm and runs 46 flat or 46.2 and beats Rye, the narrative is the same thing it's always been.
Not for me.
The narrative changed. It changes for everybody because the only reason you guys are saying it's because he beat him. But if Warholm is, we're not talking about the fact that Warholm is one of those disinterested guys at the track, right? So when Rye runs 12 steps and runs 45 seconds and beats Warholm, I might come over to the dark side. But until he does, I'm good.
I just want to say this on this whole matchup. I think the only thing that was really relevant was that Rye beat him because Rye had never beaten him. And I think more importantly, to me, the only thing that should be taken from his camp is the focus on the race from what Rye said, from what Quincy said to him was basically go be you. Don't be concerned with external forces. He went and in his brain went and did him. Sure, the accident happens. Maybe we learn from that. Maybe that's what we do. But all I'm saying is, to me, intent and results are where you really, that's how you get out of the woods, right? The intent was to go be him and beat him. He did that. And however that happened, that's for them to figure out. And that's the artistry of coaching. But I think the only thing that was relevant there was the intent and the result.
Right. And now Rye has, some confidence, hopefully, right? See, here's the thing. And it gets, I'm going to apologize because I'm not trying to put down upon anybody's coaching abilities. I'm not this effing genius that knows everything. Okay, I know a little bit, but I don't know everything. But I do know this. Okay, George Williams always says you can't know the play if you're not knowledgeable, right? And if we're going to sit back and tell people how to improve a guy that's running 46.13, we don't know what's going on in that camp. We don't know what they're doing, what they're working on, and how they're doing it. So it is unfair, in my opinion, to say that this is what he needs to do because we don't see him every day. So if you got an athlete you see every day, you got an athlete that can do certain things, then that's you see it. But we're not there every day. We don't know what they're dealing with. We don't know what taking 12 steps does or doesn't do to his body. There's a lot of factors here. So yeah, you know what? It's athletics. You're entitled to have an opinion, but
can we know the play when he tells it to us on camera?
That's nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with what I'm saying at all. Nothing to do with what I'm doing at all. Nothing to do with what I'm saying at all.
I want
to speed this up.
It's not even. Here's the thing. I will go on and on and on about all of this for hours, but I love track and I love debate. And,
see,
and
here's
that's
the thing, EP. This is not just about Ryan Karsten. It's about a lot of things.
Yes.
You know, it could be about Parchman and Grant. It could be about Christian and Noah. It could be about Joe and the big guy. Right?
Yes, it is.
Because that's where I was going to go, is that I think that Joe felt like he had been beaten by Ryan too often, too many times. And meaning, I'm going to go and attempt to beat this cat. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to fall into, I throw good, he throws great, and then I don't respond. And because that's happened for almost an entire 2 seasons to everybody in the world. So is it fortune that Joe beat Ryan? Sure, probably to some degree. But at the end of the day, the impetus that Joe put in, I think, was right, and what will fuel him in the offseason and what will give him, in his world, a chance at winning the gold medal next year. Right? Like, if I hit this dude back, maybe I win.
Joe has proven that he can beat Ryan for medals. He's done it. And I totally understand the point that you're making. Some people are just so good at what they do that the competition sometimes just seems overwhelmed by them, right?
Yes.
Joe's never been that guy, right? Like, Joe he doesn't always throw well, right? But I always look at Joe and see him battle. The Diamond League final competition was the best battling I've seen him do since he beat him for the medal.
Yeah, since World Championships, when all 3 of them went crazy.
Yeah, Joe was on fire from the go. And it was just fun to watch. It made the whole thing, like, you were sitting there waiting for Ryan to just throw the world record, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, it's like, wait, Joe might be able to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and the thing about that is, like, Joe always battles him, And I don't think there's a world where anybody really believes that Rod doesn't go to the line thinking he's going to win. Or, okay, so let's talk about the quote unquote upsets, right? So if you look at the women's 100, like, are we betting on Sharika or Sha'Carri? If you look at the men's 200, do you think Papa Podium is going to win it next year? Or we expect Noah? Do we think Christian's going to beat Noah again in London, meaning in Paris? Do we think Rod's going to beat
some
Harlow?
of those conversations are interesting, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's where I'm going with this. Okay, so, like, when we look at these things, what indicator does it really mean? Because at the end of the day, right, there's nobody that really didn't think that Ryan was going to get in the ring and throw 23 meters, right? He just missed the shot, because if you watch him, he just missed the throw. He still almost caught him, right? So if you start thinking about what happened at this competition, it's great internet talk. It's great,
right?
Locker room talk. But at the end of the day, folks need to not make this about what's going to happen in Paris or what happened in Budapest. Because I saw the comments, by some people, if he'd done that, he'd been a world champion. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, pressure is a huge part of major championships and rounds and situations and all those things, and that's why majors are what they are.
One of the smartest things your buddy Michael Johnson has said on the internet, right?
Yeah, a blind squirrel will still eventually find it.
Okay, it was smart. He said it. It was smart.
Okay,
absolutely.
I'll say that. I'll give 2 examples of the point that it sounds like you were shooting at there. Andre DeGrasse in the 200. Now, if you're a nerd and you follow things and you pay attention, you know that Andre is under new coaching. So for him to end his season with the season's best, win legal 19-7, I'm not going to say that Andre DeGrasse is the favorite to win the Olympics, because Noah's clearly the favorite to win the Olympics, and Noah wasn't in the race. However, that performance absolutely lets me know that Andre DeGrasse and his new coaching setup will be in the mix for medals. because for part of the year, it looked like, hey, this thing may not be working out. And it ultimately ended extremely well. Andre's always in the mix for medals, and he wasn't at Worlds, but they got it figured out at the end, and that is good for the sport. It's good for the event, and it adds somebody else to the mix. On the women's 100 side of things, when that race ended, I took a screenshot of the result and posted it. Didn't say a word, just put the T emojis on it. And some people thought that I was taking a shot at Sha'Carri, which is crazy because Sha'Carri's the world champion. She's still the world champion. She's gonna be the world champion next year. Okay. However, that race to me had nothing to do with Sha'Carri. What I was impressed with was how Elaine Thompson finished.
I was just about to say, if I was going to take anything from that race, I would take this. We already know Olympic year Elaine is a real thing, just like playoff Rondo.
There you go.
Right? And watching Elaine's last 3 races, the one takeaway I have from the women's 100 is they're going to have to deal with her next year.
That's right. And again,
and she's a whole ass problem.
Double.
Yeah.
And
she's pissed off. Double, triple, isn't it?
Well, 4x1, sure. but
yes,
individual,
double individually.
No, you're wrong. No.
They didn't win the 4. They didn't win the 4.
They won 4x1 twice.
Yeah,
they only won it.
Yeah.
But no, and she's pissed off. She's made it very clear. Like, she's on interview. She's on camera saying it's going to look a lot different when I'm healthy. Right. So that's the 100-meter takeaway was about Elaine and how she ran.
Sure.
Now, there's people out there, definitely not me, but open the door to the conversation, right? Because of the dynamics of how the worlds were won. Sha'Carri gets beat down in the semifinals, ends up in lane 9, and focuses and gets it done, right? Now she's in the middle of the track and it looked like the semifinal again, right? You shouldn't be putting that kind of stock into a Diamond League final where
that narrative is silly.
Very. And I will say this in regards to that. And I'm not going to put the person's name out there, but I talked to somebody that semi-close to the situation and who is actually a researcher of such things. First thing I'll say is the Sha'Carri getting beat down in the semifinals a little harsh because she ran 10:84. She had the 3rd fastest time going into the race. Okay. But then I will come back with, I thought she won not because she was in lane 9, because she executed well. The person said to me that if she's in the middle and she doesn't run well. And if you watch the race, she was with Shariq at 20 meters.
Oh, Shariq had a terrible start.
Right. She was with her at 20 meters, and like, to this person's credit, they just don't believe that she can react in the way she did in the 65 when she has company at 86, 40, 50, 60, 70 meters, because she tends to focus more on the people there. But when she's in lane 9 and she's running away from Tamari Davis and she can't feel everybody else, that's why she ran 10:65.1. I'm not saying that's true, but that's what I was supposed to explain to me. And because this person called what happened in that race, this person told me this is what's going to happen.
And that
called it verbatim.
Reality will play out in the future, but in the Diamond League final, there's nothing to assess there. Not for real.
I mean, yes and no. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There's stuff to take from it, but not the stuff people want to take from it. I will say this: there were a lot of ridiculous things that happened in this meet. My favorite thing to happen was a combination of, and I'm surprised that you, Clyde, didn't glom to this. The combination of petty, and then the actual race and the way it played out between Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Yara Naguse.
I literally have that on my phone, and I was about to ask you a question about it.
Listen, first of all, if you haven't seen the pre-race interview, you need to go watch it because it's hilarious, because there's all this conversation about Ingebrigtsen asked for a rabbit at world record pace, and he's talking about the world record, and they asked Naguse what his plans was, and he said he wanted to break the American record, and yada, yada, yada. And he said, I want to break the American record. And Ingebrigtsen he interrupted him and said, well, just follow right behind me and you should be fine.
It was worse than that. He said, hang on to me as long as you can.
Yes, that's what he said. Hang on to me as long as you can and you should be fine. So I just thought all of the pre-race hype was absolutely spectacular. But then to watch the race literally go exactly like that, and Naguse get his prize and Ingebrigtsen not get his, was so absolutely just perfect theater. Because the dude won, he ran the third fastest time ever run, and you could see he was deflated and pissed off. And the guy who got second did exactly what he came to do and was excited. And I thought the whole thing was absolutely great theater.
I'm a huge fan of both Naguse and Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Like, he is petty, he talks trash, he owns it, and sometimes he loses running his mouth, right? So
he is in the camp of Ingebrigtsen versus the world for sure. He is perfectly fine with that.
The men's mile is in the running for my favorite race of the competition. One, I mean, just look at the results from 1 through 13. Just, you know, blue boxes everywhere. It was sick. World U20 record was in there, right? At 3:48, which is nuts. My thing about that race was the question I wanted to pose to you or to all of you. Should there be rabbits?
I'm so glad you brought this up. So in the moment, I don't know why this is taking this long to infuriate me, but let me just say this for the record. Okay. I want you to picture a 100-meter race, right? Where there's 9 lanes, and lane 5 is a person whose sole job, you know what, we'll make it a human. We'll make it Sue, who's the fastest at 60 meters, right? And that is
he gets a 5 meter gap.
Right. No. His job is to run the 60.
Oh, okay.
And then stop, right? Just trail off and not finish, right? His job is to ensure that the race is run at world record pace, right? And then all of the lane lines for the 100 meters have lights that are run at 9:57. It sounds like a clown show, right?
The second part of that makes more sense, because just if Sue's running 100, he can still be on world record place at 60. You don't have to stop him, right?
But I'm saying we're making it a rabbit, right?
I like Clyde's idea better of the stagger, right? So you figure out that if I put Chris Huffins at this point, he's going to run 9:40 something from this point to the finish line and make everybody else chasing with the lights. That's the clown show.
Yeah, absolute clown show. And it's just like, if you describe that, because this is what has happened. I have tried to describe what the lights are for and describe why somebody runs in the front and then doesn't finish to people who are casual track people. And one of them said it to me. Well, that just seems like cheating. Why, yes, it does. Why, yes, it does. Because it's ridiculous. And any attempt at justifying it is literally justifying stupidity. Like, there's a reason that major championships don't look anything like the Diamond League finals do, the Diamond League races, do in the distance races. Because there's not going to be somebody who's out there paid to go run a certain pace to make the best people be A, comfortable, and B, not have to work. What?
Listen, I love your passion. I'm here for the passion. I'm not even sure if I actually disagree with you. But I'm going to disagree with you on principle. Because here's the rabbits and the lights are there for one thing and one thing only. The
fans and entertainment.
That's right. The end result. Fans and entertainment. So when you get the world record in the 5K, when you watch Faith all year breaking world records, No one gives a damn about the lights or the pacer. You're just caught up in the spectacularness of it. Now, when
then
the race
stick
ends,
a guy in the middle of the women's 100.
let's stop it. Stop it. When the race
Why?
ends,
It's the same clown show.
Listen, hold on.
No,
When
but
the race
but
ends,
see, sticking a guy in the middle of women's 100, that's come on now.
when the
Why
race
is it
ends
different?
and he doesn't catch the lights, it's
Different gender.
Okay,
Listen.
I said a guy just because the ease of which we can find a guy that can run 10:47. That's why I said a guy. Right? It's less of a clown show than we have a woman run 80 meters. Like
You don't
But
need
my
a guy.
point is, it's still a clown show.
Listen, I'm here for a deficit start. It's all in it. It's not. It's
never gonna be viewed as. See, here's the thing. Like, it's a clown show to you, but when they break the world record, like Clyde said, it's a show. No clown about it. It's a show. Now, is it fair? Probably not. But I wouldn't call it a clown show because they've been doing it forever.
I look at it like this. If I'm Sydney Marie and I just have my American record broken that way, I probably feel some type of way.
Well, here's the key.
Did
he have a rabbit when he broke his?
Probably.
Well, I'm gonna say probably, but okay. The rabbits weren't enough. The thing is, we had always accepted the fact that rabbits are part of distance running. Now we got rabbits and lights.
He's mad at the lights.
You still got to run.
I'm mad at the combination.
Still got to run.
Okay. Okay.
Here.
So this narrative that they look, the pacing helps. Like, okay, no doubt about that. You still got to run. The man didn't run 3:43 because of the lights.
I didn't say that he did.
I didn't say you said that. I'm just giving.
But how much help are we gonna give?
Okay.
All the help you need if you would have ran 3:40.
Fine.
I mean, we hold hands to the umpteenth degree in this show.
So let me just say this, and I really mean this. In the distance world, 800 and up for me, the record, and I'm sure it happened in another one, but this is the one that always sticks with me. Love Faith Kipyegon, she's the GOAT. I have more respect for David Rudisha's world record that was done in the Olympics without the record than any of these that had pacers. But they're still fucking phenomenal to watch. I don't want to go to the meet without pacing and without the lights and not see the records. I don't want that. So I'm defending stupidity.
All right. Well, I want to move on. I want to move on to what I thought was, in my opinion, because of the artistry and I guess my own intimacy of the event, what I thought was the best performance of the meet. To me, Mondo's world record was the best performance of the meet, and here's why. Mondo broke his previously existing world record by a centimeter, and he broke the mark that he set in Eugene the year before by 2 on a smaller pole with an inferior jump. And that, to me, just speaks to what level of greatness we're watching with that guy. He said he knew the pole was smaller and he was going to have to milk the jump to some degree at the top. And then went out and painted the Sistine Chapel and put it together. And it's amazing to watch that guy do what he does, because it's one thing, like, listen, I get it. Everybody who wants to complain about the fact that he breaks world record by a centimeter stops, they're like, oh, Buki used to do that too. Well, listen, folks, everybody should do it if you can control breaking a world record, only because you only get paid for one a day. Jonathan Edwards set 2 world records in the triple jump in Gothenburg, Sweden, and got paid for 1. Because until the meet's over and the competition is ratified, you only get credit for the final result. So at the end of the day, that's it. That's all you're ever going to get. So stop asking for him to, like, oh, he smoked that one, but yeah, that's good. Come to the next meet.
I mean, I'm here for that being the best performance of the meet. The boy took 4 jumps. 1, 2, 3 world record, and we out. Like what else do you want to see?
He is doing things that are like so much better than everybody else in the world. That's not a diss to anybody else in the world, but I don't think there's anybody that doesn't believe that Mondo Duplantis could open the track meet at 6 meters if he wanted to. And 99% of the people who are currently pole vaulting have never jumped 6 meters.
I don't know about 99, but there's a good deal.
Of the world-class pole vaulters, it's a big number. There just ain't that many.
Yeah.
So
Good convo.
yeah, okay, we'll cut there.
What was anybody else's favorite singular performance? That way we don't have to go back and forth. It's just your opinion.
I mean, Simon Ehammer won the long jump. Props to the EP.
Simone is the dude, man.
When that came across the text messages, I was like,
yeah,
there you go.
Hey, what's funny is one thing Eugene has proven that was said on the show more than one time is it's not a good place to long jump. The men's results are never good. Distance wise. Competitions are, I mean, some of the competitions are amazing, but the distances are just not there because it's just not a place to long jump far.
Sir Lucius, do you have a favorite performance?
Karate James in the 400.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Cool to see. Another one of those. I like the way the season ended there. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just a feel good story. The man lost his coach this year and been through a lot mentally, and great feel good story.
Like that was one of the few results you can look at and think, well, that might mean something for next year. Again, might. It might not either, but at least it.
But you saw the pendulum swing.
Yeah.
A lot of us were concerned about it being stuck or getting pushed backwards and only staying on the up. You saw the pendulum swing, and now there's movement to it. So
now I know we're going a little long, but we can't exit this without the women's 800, the other internet buzz race of the weekend, right? What did we think?
One word, emotion. And I put it in our chat. It was the first time we got to see a thing Mo show real live emotion in a long time. And I was super happy for her. She was obviously super happy to win. And I think there were a lot of people who were claiming she was disinterested in the sport and that LA had gotten to her.
My word
so that was
personal.
Cool. Yeah,
I
like that
had the opportunity to speak not only to her but to Bobby after the race, and that was personal on both their very personal.
Good.
We like Bobby personal. We love that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who want to see special things, just talk trash about Bobby.
Apply the pressure because it will come right back at you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love it. Well, Diamond League, that's a wrap. So let's move on to
Real shenanigans.
And quite suitably because it's shenanigans and compliance. Just kidding. No violations. I had asked a question to the group, and so now we're posing it to the tiles to spark the conversation as to the audience and allow them to start speaking either to themselves or to their circles. But in regards to countable hours and practice versus non-practice workout sessions, training sessions, things that words you can use. When did in time zones case, did you start your 20 hours versus your 8 hours versus not?
I'm a traditional guy. I go to the SEC meet outdoors and I count back with 156 days, whatever it is. And that's when we start our 20 hours from day one of school until to that date, we're in 8 hours. The first month we are they're just in the weight room, so it makes it easier to to control that. And then once we come out of that, we're the typical 4 days a week. So yeah, we're good.
So similar but different. Do the same thing. We count back. We typically start practices Wednesday after Labor Day, but we're in our 8 hours until we can get to our 20-hour deadline, right? We handle the 8 a little bit differently. They're in the weight room 3 days a week for 1 hour. So there's your 3. And then we train 4 days of the 7 for an hour and 15 minutes each, which gives you 8. It's a little difficult to manage sometimes because you really have to be aware of the clock. But at this point, we have a rhythm to it, and it works really well. There are ways legally to start your 20 hours immediately, but that's a game I'm not willing to play yet, and a game that I don't know very well. And the worst thing, to me, it's like, yeah, I could change it up, but the way we do it typically works for us, so I don't have any interest in changing it up. And I'm not about to try something new and screw it up and end up in somebody's office. So, that's me. Me and Sir Lucius play a pretty traditional game with the 8 versus 20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guy. So I did exactly the same. Like started at what mattered and worked back 156 and did that. What I've always found interesting, because I've always lived someplace where the weather and the calendar, like all that mesh to make that make sense. But I know some people who work or have worked at places where the weather is phenomenal in the typical 8-hour window, and the weather's not great in some of their 20-hour window, and they don't have an indoor facility, where they have gone 20 for the first month because they felt like they could get more done in that window with the weather, and have found a way to be able to make that work in their training to go 8 for 3 weeks or a month or whatever it is, where they're transitioning into poorer weather. And I always thought that kind of stuff was, I'm into the artistry and stuff of coaching, because I don't think you can coach exactly the same way at every place, just because there are some things that are different. What I always thought was interesting was the people who were in a rush to get to 20. Like, and I only say that just because it's like, if you put together your season the way it should play itself out, the 8-hour portion, it shouldn't really be that big of an inconvenience. Like, yes, to Clyde's point, like, it was the only time in my coaching career where I like literally watched the clock, right? It's the only time where I literally actually had any like real power when I walked in the weight room. And I told strength and conditioning coach, like, look, if you need to get a shot clock, then get one. But when I tell you, when they walk in here, you better mark the time. And when they walk out of here, it better not be more than an hour. Like, we're not doing that, because you're not going to be the reason that I'm sitting in the compliance office. That's not going to happen. Right. And this is where people mess up. They don't ask the kids. One time I asked the kids, how long were y'all in the weight room? And one of them said 1 hour and 20 minutes. And I said, well, that pisses me off, but that's 20 minutes y'all don't get with me.
Yeah.
Right. Because what I'm not going to do is be dead wrong. I mean, be dead right. Like, yes, look, the schedule had it, the coach knew, and I only had, I have 4 days of 1 hour and 15 or 4 days of 1 hour, like, because then I had a 30-minute meeting, whatever it is in there, like, here's the schedule, this is what's on Teamworks, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, no, the strength coach is not going to get fired for that. But I'm going to be in the compliance office because I can't count to 8. Right. And so, like, at the end of the day, I do think that part, you do need to pay attention to that. But, like, honestly, in the fall, if you can't get done what you need to get done for that amount of for that time period on 4 hours of work, not including warm up or cool down. If you can't get that done, I am confused what you're doing. The only people I completely get who struggle with the 8 hours is the throws group because of the amount of lifting that they do. Right? Like I can get that. Like again, 8 is 8, figure it out. But I can at least understand, like, if they struggle, they feel inconvenienced because in the fall, you're doing volumes of throws, right? It's less technical sessions and more volume. And, it takes what it takes in the weight room if you're a thrower. So I do get that part. But the people who coach single events, I mean, the combined eventers is obviously, it's always a struggle in general, right? But the people who coach single events who complain about 8 hours, I'm confused. if you don't coach a throwing event, I'm truly confused.
So, Sir Lucius and Clyde, off the top of your head, do you know when you transition to your 20 hours?
About the second week in October ish.
Mine's is the third week. It's always like, it's right around my birthday, so that's why I know.
Mm-hmm. So I asked that to illustrate because I know I've had conversations, recent, not recent, of when, well, we got, and like you said, rushing into the 20-hour segments and whatnot, but, how are we ever going to catch up if we don't get there? And
yeah, I don't understand that train of thought. That's not how it works. Like,
if I start earlier, my horses will get to the race earlier. That's what I hear. And so I wanted to emphasize those dates that you mentioned, just because.
Well, the race is the race. And I think that the thing is planning. I'm actually of the opinion that sometimes I think, especially when you get to 20 hours, you do too much.
Say that again, please.
I don't really need 20 hours
to
get done what I got to get done in a week's time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people work out because they can. So just because the NSA says you can have 20 hours, let's get 19 and a half, right? But if you can get the required things done in 14 hours, you just take 14 hours and get it done.
I honestly, I don't think I've ever gone past 16, and that's stretching.
That's high. I'm like, oh my
that's
God.
I can't even.
The only time I ever pressed 20 was with combined eventers. It's the only time I ever was like in that 18, 19, and it was like 1 week. Like but 1 week a year that was like that. But yeah, but with single eventers, or even just like somebody that does 2 events that are in the same like they run the 1 and the 2, like 2 and the 4, like not like a field event. I never got the complaint about 20 hours. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you definitely don't need the 20. And again, let's be straight. These numbers have nothing to do with our sport. They're not invented for our sport. They're not about our sport. We're just stuck with them because everything trickles down. So, it's actually one of the better running jokes. And I say jokes because it is hilarious to me, but I know people that have gotten themselves in trouble over these issues, so therefore it's not funny, right? In today's world where everything is verified through your athletes and everything is double and triple and quadruple checked, and in some cases athletes may be looking to trip you up in a situation, like, just be straight up about it.
Yeah.
Like, we have before practice ever starts, we have a whole calculation, like, just so y'all are clear, this is how this works. Boom, 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 boom. Try to find me over 8 hours. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And 20, oh, that's laughable. Like, once you lay it out and you show them, we're like, that's, if you're going to complain, trust me, you're never going to win that complaint around here. It's just not going to be done. So, it's too serious of a topic and too many people have abused it, but it's also way too easy to be on your P's and Q's and do it the right way. So just do it the right way.
So let me ask a question. Wasn't scripted, so I apologize if I throw you for a curve on it. We have flex days. We have 14 flex days that we have to accomplish before the end of the year.
Oh, I hate the flex days.
Do you even try to do them in your 8-hour segment?
I literally try to get rid of all of that nonsense as early as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to even think about it when things matter. and it's easy enough to do.
Yeah, I mean, in the very beginning, you're going to get 8 hours, so you can get your 8 hours in 4 days, and then you get 1 day a week because you got 2 days mandatory, and the third day is a flex day.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, get them up out of there.
Yep.
Flex days were invented to get coaches in trouble.
Well, so
just get it done.
I mean, I was in charge last year of monitoring, managing, and implementing the flex days for the mid-year transfers. So trying to find those 7 days as quickly as we had to, I was like, yeah, no, they can't go. Like, recover on your own.
Can you explain to those that watch our show who are not currently college track coaches exactly what a flex day is?
So it's an additional day off in addition to the mandated. So in the 8-hour segment, you have to have 2 days off. So the third day off would be could be considered a flex day. On the flex day, no CARA or RERA can occur. So no team meetings, no compliance meetings, things of that nature. Workouts, practice, things of that nature. In the 20-hour sessions, it's the additional day off. So you have one that's mandated. So anything in addition to that, again, no CARA, no RERA can take place, and that can be considered a flex day. Like it's literally denoted in your ARMS or whatever system you use at this point as a flex day, and it has to be documented, and they're tracked. So again, as I mentioned, the transfers.
How many do you have to have? 7?
14 for a full 2-semester student athlete, and then 1 semester student athletes have to have 7 before the end of the season. I'm sorry, that's not even right. Before the end of the regular season.
Flex days were definitely put in there to catch you slipping.
Yeah. Like you have your you have your time frames and you have your mandated days off, and then by the way, find 14 more days to give them off. Like when you ask for what, there's not an answer. Again, it's a football, basketball thing that trickles down to us, and we're like, oh, okay. So we'll just take 14 days.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question. Could you start your 8-hour segment like on the first day of school and then give them the first 7 days off?
Yep.
Well, see, the thing is like that's when it starts, the first day of school. So you could give them the first. It has to be, you could give them the first. But if you just gave them the first week off,
that's 5.
You're only going to get 5 days. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But
okay.
But there are absolutely
because 2 of them are mandatory.
Yeah. There are absolutely people in programs that just stack like this week's off, that week's off, that week's off, done.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I'd ask that one just because I know that that's also been a question that I've been asked. So just wondering the different tactics of how you implement them. But CARA and RERA, go compliance.
Any means necessary.
So, all right, moving on to a much more fun topic, Coaching Carousel. So it's
I feel like there's somebody out there with just a whole handful of quarters that just flicks them in once at a time.
It's the laundromat trick. You put the dryer sheet and then the quarter in, you pull the quarter back out. So you're not using quarters, you're just using the same one.
Yes.
Wow, wait a minute. That's a ghetto.
Wait, you didn't do that in college?
No, but I didn't do my laundry in college, so
I don't know how Chu did it, but we punched a hole in a quarter and tied floss to it.
wow.
So then you put it in and you hold it so it's taut. It starts, it comes out, and the quarter's still out.
So you assumed there was floss. I knew I had a fabric softener sheet because I had to use it to the dryer. So
that also works.
Wow.
anyhow,
I'm actually impressed.
Oh, I got you. Daly City's finest.
Yeah.
So Coaching Carousel, I'm going to announce ours today because it's not new by no means, but we finally put it up today. Oops, a little late. Tyree Price is here at TCU officially. So
My man.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Tyree.
So we officially have a full staff now. He's been here, people, but it's now social media official.
I saw that Felicia Brown Edwards was named assistant coach of South Carolina today.
Oh
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyra Jefferson, another NCAA 200-meter great at Sac State, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. A lot of activity on the West Coast in this cycle.
And I'll say this, it seems as if it's the additional staffs that are being announced at this point. Like, and that might be just an assumption on my part, because as I'm looking at the staffs that are, or the new staff members that are being announced, it's the +2, the +1.
I mean, listen, I'm just jealous of everybody that has completed their processes. We still in we're gonna get it done eventually, though.
Did you guys talk about LJ to Arkansas last week or the week before?
I'm sure it was mentioned. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, that was.
It was a week before we talked about it.
That was mentioned.
Okay.
Yes.
Devin West to UCLA.
Did we say that last week?
We did Michelle, but last week Devin wasn't officially announced.
Yeah.
So Devin West to UCLA, congratulations. Like I said, lots of West Coast activity.
Mm-hmm.
All I got. That's all I know about.
What jobs are open?
That's a good one.
I
don't know that this is a job that's open, but it will remain to be seen what happens with the Arkansas men's staff. Because as I said before, they had a throws coach last year. I know he wasn't officially on staff, but now they have a spot where they could add one. He is no longer there, and the women's staff has added an additional coach. So I just find it hard to believe that the men's staff is not going to rock out with 4, just like the women are. But I could be wrong.
4 positions each side. The men have a director of ops. The women don't.
Right, but the director of ops is not a coaching position.
4 positions on each side. The woman that was formerly the director of ops is now the distance coach. So instead of hiring a new director of ops, I hired a new coach. So because there's 4 slots, so to speak, that's what's going on there.
Sure.
Because trust me, because trust me now, if the men get another coach, the women are going to get a director of ops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems like that would make a lot of sense to me, because I'm telling you right now, if it's an apple and a plum ain't the same.
But it's not about an apple and a plum being the same. It's about positions. So the genius of this here is that Chris Johnson was smart enough to say, I don't need a director of ops. I need another coach. So he went out and got another coach instead of getting a director of ops. I wouldn't expect Arkansas to hire it. First of all, they don't need a throws coach. They don't have any throwers.
The one we haven't said yet is Richie Bean filled out his staff.
Yes. Props to my man.
So he now has his staff in place.
I know that there was an interesting twist. The distance coach at Miami don't know her last name, Cody, is now the women's distance coach at Florida State.
I heard about that one.
Yeah. And I know Amy has hired someone, but I'm not sure who she hired. But it was interesting that you went from Miami to Tallahassee. So,
yeah, there's it's in my head. I saw an announcement for Vandy, but I can't remember what it is, so I apologize.
the throws coach from Arkansas is at Vandy. John
There
Newell.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The volunteer throws coach from Arkansas is now the paid coach at Vandy.
Yeah.
Such a distinction. Such a
Yes.
distinction. Yeah, there's still openings. I can't think of them right now, but there are openings. And so keep applying. Actually, I know there's a position open at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So mid-major there.
Did we announce Marcus Brown in North Texas?
Oh,
Oh yeah, no.
no, we not.
Big Brown is the new throws coach at North Texas. I'm very happy for my guy.
Well deserved. Congrats, sir.
He will do very good things there, I believe.
So no offense to anybody that we're forgetting, but there's a lot. So a lot of hiring and a lot of openings. So
we're trying to keep the public informed. So if you want us to be informed, make sure you inform one of us.
Yeah. Well, I guess Tiffin has an opening for jumps and multis because he's now at Alabama State. And then Justin was at an East Coast school, but I don't remember where. I think that's his name, Justin. So there's currently openings there. So, but bringing back Would You Rather, because we skipped a few weeks of it, and by default, Sir Lucius, it's coming to you because I'm just going to start at 1. But you're only getting 3. So here's my new scope. Top 3 Would You Rathers, and I'm going to cut it off at that because I think sometimes I get a little lost in the assignment of Would You Rather. So, are you ready, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Would you rather bowl left-handed or with a house ball?
House ball.
Really?
Skill set.
Yeah, I can get that. All right.
Here's the thing. See, I can get the house ball to go in the pocket. I've done that.
Yeah.
The left-handed stuff. Yeah.
Would you rather sit in box seats at a Jaguars game or on the 50-yard line at a Browns game?
Oh, 50-yard line at the Browns game.
Who wants to go watch the Jaguars?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just.
I
I did let everybody's. So I'll tell you why I asked that question later. Would you rather eat a gluten-free dessert or a sugar-free dessert?
I'd rather eat fruit.
Gluten free.
Got it. All right, gentlemen, the floor is yours for questions.
I'm not eating no gluten-free brick, and I'm not eating no sugar-free nonsense.
See, as you guys know, my best friend Daryl Anderson has to eat gluten-free stuff. So I have had gluten-free desserts. So yeah.
Do you know what I showed him? The gluten-free nothing bundt cake.
I can't believe that's gluten-free. I can't believe that,
good.
By the way.
Yeah.
It's
so I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah. We were in Eugene and he was like, I went back for a second. Sorry, DA, not to tell on you, but okay, floor is yours. Question, sorry.
Actually, since we are going into an Olympic year and you'll be there, would you rather go to Paris for the Olympics or getting ready for 2028 and coming to LA?
Paris. LA's a lot, man. LA's a lot. Like, I mean, I'm actually excited for the meet itself. I mean, for the games themselves, I should say. But man, it's LA, and LA's a lot. Like, I want to see how they set it up, right? I want to see,
What track is it going to be on? So do we know this?
Not built.
It's going in the Coliseum and it's not built yet.
Yeah, I didn't know if I knew that. Sorry.
Yeah. So now I'm don't get me wrong, I'm extremely excited about LA. But as we sit here today, it's Paris because I just don't know how the logistics of LA are going to be. And like I said, LA is a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. I think there's some people who feel about feel about Paris the way a lot of us feel about LA.
I do not like
Right?
Paris.
Just like man, there's so many places I'd rather go.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that like Paris is like my favorite place to go or anything, but at the same thing, LA's a lot.
You
Like,
just know
it's just a
LA.
lot.
You just know how much it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, and the people in Paris aren't the nicest folks. Some of them. So
Say that again.
Yeah, but what we don't know, and we do know LA.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, time zone.
Man. Are you a better coach when everybody is patting you on the back, or when folks are poking the bear?
Actually, it doesn't matter because you know me, I create narratives in my head that everybody thinks I suck. So
that's why I wanted you to say
it doesn't matter. You know, I'm of the opinion that I don't know what I'm doing, that I have to prove myself every year to myself, but not so much to everybody else. And so I just operate under the narrative that I'm suck and nobody thinks I can coach, and then I work harder. So I'm good.
Yeah.
And if you pat me on the back, I just assume you're actually stabbing me in my back. So there you go.
Yeah. I hope you guys can recover from your abysmal 19-3 season that you and Grant had.
Yeah. I mean, that's a narrative that's always interesting for me. And as I've shared with you guys before, the number of people that think that Grant is failing somehow, I mean, it's amazing. I think in the last...
they'll say glibly, well, he hasn't even broken the world record
yet. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, they will.
The assumption is that we're trying to break the world record. So.
Yeah. Bye, Felicia.
Listen,
that's what you tell those people.
Yeah. What I tell those people is, hey, George Williams can't know the play if you're not in the huddle.
All right. Heartbeat props, because we haven't done those in a while either.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, and let me please, I'm going to just say this. This is for all coaches, especially the collegiate coaches that went through the collegiate season and then the world championships and the Diamond League stuff. Man, if y'all feel anything like I feel, God bless y'all, man. Because this was a long year. This was a long year. So God bless all the people. Let me just say this too. Like, we get into some pretty spirited debates and conversations about, track and field on the show. But man, what a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my heartbeat props are to the track and field community as a whole, whether it be the high schoolers, the collegiate athletes, the post-collegiate athletes. What a year. Phenomenal year for track and
field. My heartbeat props go out to my road crew from this past weekend, and specifically Iggy over there at Stanford. We took the 2 Tessies and drove up to Eugene for the Diamond League final, and he wrote something today that I just want to read because it puts a lot of it in perspective. How good was the Diamond League final? I got to watch 2 world records, 21 national records, 5 Diamond League records, 14 Prefontaine records, and at the end of an extremely long year, 14 world-leading performances. That's how good the Diamond League final was, and I'm happy and proud that I got to witness it in person with my extended track family. So to the road crew, you all know who you were. Had a ball, and baby boy was in tow. So great time had by all.
Awesome. My heartbeat props, they go out to all of my clients who have finished one season and have now started a new season. And they don't know this, but they are an inspiration to me as to why I try and work as hard as I can every day. I fail at that, just so we're clear. I do not work as hard as I can every day, but I do try. Because the vast majority of them are toiling for the sake of toiling. Yes, they are all chasing a dream of being Major League Baseball players and such, but when you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel yet, like when you're just kind of in the meat and potatoes of it, you're really just working like a coal miner. There's a lot of respect that goes like to them from me for that. They play very well and they make my job easier. And they do it, for like sometimes it's a crowd of hundreds. And I'm always impressed by those who are toiling in that regard. So that's my heartbeat props for this week.
Lastly, my heartbeat props go out to those people, the student workers and those who actually aren't students anymore, who work at the nutrition stations, the grab and goes and whatnot on the various campuses out there. It's a thankless job. And sometimes you get barked at. Some people are entitled as they go in and make their requests, but you all keep doing it. And whether it's just because you get paid or actually are interested in nutrition, good on you for helping our student athletes be better people just in the nutrition part of the whole area. So thank you for what you do in your presence, because it wouldn't be there if you didn't. So, but that is that. Another episode down, a kabillion more to go. But with that being said, we'll wrap up this week and we'll see each other next week. Bye, everyone.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents mess the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth hit them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's pacing with pill to go further. Hey, Wile E. Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we're here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to? Your circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and failed and sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.